On today's show, we talked about yesterday some bold predictions. Now let's talk about what could go wrong this season. Could Jalen Green be the biggest X factor? Does Jordan not have to work? And what about those young guys? Let's talk about that and much more in this edition of Locked On Phoenix Suns.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome in to Locked On Phoenix Suns. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube, and a credentialed Phoenix Suns media member covering your Phoenix Suns 365 days out of the year. That's why they call it your team every day here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making us your first listen on this beautiful Monday night, Tuesday morning, however you are listening, wherever you may be listening or watching. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We know you got a lot of options out there, but you continue to choose us. Don't forget that Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do it. Thousands, dare I say millions of Suns fans have already done. Become an everyday and get locked onto the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. We are officially in game week, and tomorrow I will have a preview with my guy Matt George of Locked On Sacramento Kings, and we'll break down that Phoenix Suns Sacramento Kings game. What I think is actually, and we can get into this tomorrow, a must-win game. What do I mean by that? Tune into Locked On Phoenix Suns tomorrow. But yesterday we talked about some bold predictions. Some things that I think are going to happen, that I believe are going to happen, but are kind of insane, bold predictions for the Phoenix Suns season. Now I want to talk about some things that could derail the Suns season, because I think these things are the most plausible things that could happen. It doesn't mean they will. It doesn't mean I believe that they'll happen. But I don't want Suns fans to be caught off guard if one of these three things happen. So these three different things can fully derail the Phoenix Suns season. And I'm going to put them in order of the biggest thing to least concerning thing. Number one is Jordan Ott has to be able to coach. And so if Jordan Ott can't coach, and the Suns are stuck in limbo again on, I believe, their fourth head coach in as many years, the Suns can't afford to continuously let go of coaches after 1 year. Jordan Ott has to work. But if Jordan Ott doesn't work, it can completely derail the Phoenix Suns season as we know it. We think he can coach. We think he looks good. The offense in the preseason did not appear stagnant. It felt like it had a purpose to it. But if that was all just a preseason fluke, it could very easily derail this Phoenix Suns season in a heartbeat. The Suns are already paying Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer. They don't want to add a third coach to that. For those of you in the comment section screaming they're still paying Monty Williams, they're not paying Monty Williams anymore. They were on the hook for that until Monty got a job with the Detroit Pistons. Now the Pistons are on the hook for paying Monty Williams. So they're only paying three head coaches right now. Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer, and now that being Jordan Ott. You do not want to end up the organization that fires head coaches consistently each and every year. Let me say that again. You do not want to be the organization that is firing head coaches each and every season. Why is that? Because you will never get the top head coaching candidates if you have what is seen as an impulsive owner that will not give a coach time to build a culture, build a foundation, and they know by half the season, start listing your house on the open market because you're not going to be here for very long. That's what the issue was with the Phoenix Suns this past season. They cut Mike Budenholzer, and Jordan Ott was not first on everyone's list of hiring. I don't know if Jordan Ott, that might be a little bit too far of a stretch, but it wouldn't have surprised me if Jordan Ott ended up waiting another coaching cycle. The other assistant coach whose name escapes me right now, under Kenny Atkinson, the number one head coach, the number one assistant coach, like even he's out of a job right now. Like it's just possible that at this point, Jordan Knott might have never gotten a job. And part of that has to do with the fact that the Phoenix Suns have been firing head coaches for the last 3 seasons. Monty Williams, Frank Vogel, Mike Budenholzer. You get a mulligan normally once to fire one guy. After that, you're like, yeah, that guy was the problem. After that, other head coaching candidates start to take note. They start to look and say, why would I want to go there? And so when you're trying to get the next, Eric Spoelstra, or even at this point, Joe Mazzulla, or, one of those top tier head coaches, when you are trying to get those guys, they will look at your owner and they will say that is an impulsive owner who I do not want to work for. Jordan Knott, thankfully, I don't know how many options he had out there. The Suns selected him and they cast a wide net. And if you remember correctly, it took a really long time for them to come down to Jordan Knott is our guy. He has to work. He has to show there's going to be motion in his offense. There's going to be ways to scheme Devin Booker open consistently night in and night out. He's got to show that Jalen Green is viable here in Phoenix. Those are all important things that Jordan Knott has to show. So I know that there are like clear player schematics and who fits and who doesn't fit on this team, but none of that matters if you're continuously changing the head of the snake, which is the head coach. New system every year. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is Booker's like nearly 10th head coach. And he's been in the season. And this is his 11th season in the league. He's had a multitude of them. It's hard to learn a new system and to learn a new head coach's lingo and to figure out what they're doing. You cannot be in this constant turmoil. And so, how concerning is this? If we're scaling it on a scale of 1 to 10, I like Jordan Knott. Like, let me just say this. I like Jordan Knott. I like what I saw in the preseason, and I approved of the hire. But I think there's a decent chance that maybe I was overvaluing him too. Now, I don't think this is going to happen. But I don't want Suns fans to get caught off guard if he doesn't work out. Now, although I approved of the hire from the get-go, I liked his, serious demeanor at the press conference, no nonsense. I like what I've heard about him at the chalkboard or the whiteboard and his schematics, X's and O's. He knows what he's going to run on a night in, night out basis. But if we're scaling on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's like a 50-50 shot. I think there's a chance Jordan Knott is just superbly awesome. And he is one of the next great head coaches on the rise, and he's here for a decade. Truly, I do think that could very likely happen. But I also think there's a chance that if the season falls flat on his face, and I don't believe that's going to happen, if check out yesterday's show when I said that I think this team is going to make the playoffs as a play-in team and make the first round winning the play-in tournament or getting a spot from the play-in tournament. But I don't think it's out of the question in a league where coaches are quickly turnstiled all the time. It's a coaching carousel that he could be a coach that gets the axe. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think it is a possibility. And I want Suns fans and people that watch and cover this team to be alert to that. I don't want to hear in the middle of the season, well, no one warned us that Jordan Knott didn't know what he was doing. I'm not saying it's going to happen. All I'm saying is first-time head coach, wasn't the leading assistant on his own team. There is a shot that it could happen. But the Suns had a lengthy process. They went through a multitude of different head coaching interviews. They had a first round, a second round, a third round. It's not from lack of trying, which is why I think it's going to happen. I just think you should be prepared for that to potentially take shape. But with that being said, again, this is kind of the negative side of things. I don't think that's going to happen, but I want to alert you to it that it is the number one thing that could completely derail the Phoenix Suns season. Now let's get to number 2, and a very close number 2, but someone I have started to take a liking to. Jalen Green. Is he the X factor that makes this thing go? Let's talk about it next. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines and future rent payments, your Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Some of the reasons why I like using Built is I love that with Built, your rent finally works for you. You're earning points every month on something you are already going to pay. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. Today's show is also brought to you by the lovely folks over at Skims. When I found out Skims was making men's underwear, I was intrigued. I heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear fit, comfort, or just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of style. I tried the Skims, underwear collection just recently. I've got a couple of different pairs. I got to tell you, I was a little skeptical because Skims brand, like, I didn't even know they made men's clothing, and I tried on, and it's easily my favorite pair of underwear that I own. I'm literally wearing them right now. So shop Skims men's at skims.com. Let them know we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select Locked On Suns in the drop-down menu that follows. Now, this a couple of weeks ago would have been number 1 for me. Jordan Ott would not have been the number 1 thing that I think can derail the Phoenix Suns season. So after a long thought process and thinking process, and talking with smart people, I think Espo is one of those guys. I believe Jason Timp, who's been on this show, is one of those guys. Smart people that cover the Phoenix Suns or cover the NBA nationally. A couple of private conversations. I do think I was too hard on Jalen Green. I do think there is a world where, alongside Devin Booker as the secondary scorer, he can be a very viable player in this league. And I have my concerns, and we'll get to those in just a second. But I've kind of turned a new leaf a little bit on Jalen Green. And if he can be someone that the Suns can count on for an 82-game sample size. I don't know about the playoffs. How about we just get there first before we say any of those things? But the number 2 thing that can derail the Phoenix Suns season is if Jalen Green does not change his game at all. Jalen Green was the leading scorer on the 2nd seed on the Houston Rockets last year in the Western Conference. That does not mean that he was the most important player to that team. I don't want to get into that. People tend to not like my comments about that. But let's call it what it is. At this point in his career, he has not evolved into a very efficient player. 42% from the field on 17.5 shots, 35% from 3 on 8 shots from 3-point. That's the one that people always say, well, Booker shoots 36% from 3 career. And it's like, yeah, but he doesn't shoot 8 of them a night. And he has a superpower in the mid-range. Jalen Green's superpower is his athleticism, and he doesn't do that at a super efficient clip either. Now, although I think Jalen Green will be a positive for the Suns this year, I guess I shouldn't say that. Although I think Jalen Green won't be a net negative or a net positive for this team this year, he's going to be somewhere in the middle, and he can live up to his contract by doing that. There is some concern, and you can put on the bird box blinders and the earmuffs and, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil type of thing. But also say to yourself, yeah, Jalen Green could derail the Suns season. If he is a player that, is still inefficient, didn't take what Houston did to him to heart, which is instead of looking in the mirror and saying, man, I helped get that team to the playoffs, and the second we had a chance to win a championship, they shipped me off first. What does that say about me, and how do I make them eat those words? How does Jalen Green make the Houston Rockets eat those words, become a more efficient basketball player? And I would like to see him take those kinds of things to heart a little bit more. And if Jalen Green takes those things to heart and adapts his game accordingly to Devin Booker and to what the Suns need, everything is all fine and dandy in Phoenix land. But if he doesn't do that, he can't start on this team. If you get Jalen Green from last year, here's where, I'm still going to make some people upset. If you get Jalen Green from last year, under no circumstance is he going to be starting on this team all year. You're going to have to go to Grayson Allen. The Jalen Green that plays basketball right now, that was asked to do way too much in Houston and was asked to save them from scoring the ball, and I think at times had far too much pressure on him to score, or if they didn't, they probably lost. Jalen Green, if he doesn't become that efficient player, it could derail the Suns season, and you're moving him out of the starting lineup. And I don't really know where he plays then. Is he a six man? I don't know. Because what he does not complement Devin Booker now. But if he can shoot the ball a little less, which he could easily do being the secondary scorer to Devin Booker now, and learn to be a little bit better of a playmaker, driving to the basket, getting past his defender, having people gravitate to him down low, getting that weak side help, exposing it, finding someone in the corners for Grayson Allen and Dillon Brooks to hit an open jumper. That's the Jalen Green we want to see. And I think aside Devin Booker, someone who does it at a more efficient and better clip than Jalen Green, there's going to be some real mentorship there. And if that happens, obviously the team could potentially just be a straight up playoff team, not even a play-in team. But if he doesn't do that, if he's still chucking shots up from three inefficiently, if he's still, driving to the basket and, doing some obviously crazy, reverse layups that aren't going in on three defenders, where does he play on this team? At that point, he's just salary cap filler for the Kevin Durant trade. And you need to get something for Jalen Green, whether physically now on the court or build up his value to trade him for a player that fits better for Devin Booker in the future. But that trade cannot be just, you needed salary to make the contracts work and you did it like that. You can't do that. You just simply can't do that. That does not work in this NBA where assets are at a premium. And so, I'm not picking on Green. I'm just making you aware of what could happen. And again, if I'm putting this on the scale of 1 to 10, if Jordan Knott's a 5, Jalen Green's like a 4. I feel better about it than, I don't feel better about it, if that makes sense. I feel better about him kind of figuring it out a little bit, being at least a net neutral for this team, than being a net negative and not fitting alongside Devin Booker and molding some of his game around what Devin Booker already does well. So, that is a concern. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Because I do think if you're Jalen Green, you got to take that Houston Rockets thing personally. Imagine, man, if you were someone who, had this really great job and you were the top performing salesman and they said we were better off without you. That's what effectively happened to Jalen Green. And so I have to think he's going to take that personally. I have to think with more film study and the fact that the Suns can take a little bit more time to develop him. The Rockets were not interested in doing that right now. They're trying to win a championship. I think it's going to work in some sense. Maybe I ate my words on that, but it is still could be something that derails the season. It could make everything go wrong. Here's the third thing. Let's talk about those young players. What do we have to see from one of Oso, Ryan Dunn, Kaman Malawach, Rasheer Fleming? Let's get to that next. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no at Mint Mobile. Their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. I love that you're getting the same exact quality and service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl /lockedonnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnNBA. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plans, taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Here's something that I think can not only derail the Phoenix Suns season, and the reason why it's the lowest on my list. It's the lowest on my list of things that could derail this season. But it's going to be a higher scale of this is cause for concern. Because that could disrupt the future for the Suns, not necessarily this season as a whole. One of Ryan Dunn, Oso Igodaro, Kaman Malawach, and Rasheer Fleming, one of those guys has to be a star to go where the Phoenix Suns are trying to go. It's going to be tough for the Suns to get a running mate next to Devin Booker. The better shot that they have, I love a Lauri Markkanen, but it's just going to be tough to get a Lauri Markkanen on this team. The Suns don't necessarily have the assets to do that. And I think he'd fit perfect alongside Devin Booker. But again, it's more feasible that one of these young players turns into a star than the Suns trade for Lauri Markkanen because of lack of assets. Ryan Dunn, you know how high I am on him, but he's got to develop some semblance of a jumper. He's got to keep opposing defenses honest. Oso Igodaro, I'm not super high on. You guys have gotten mad at me. I don't really know where Oso Igodaro plays on this team right now. Is he a 4? Is he a 5? I'm not playing him above Kaman Malawach. I'm not playing above Nick Richards at this point. And do I really want to play him above Rasheer Fleming, who's got more upside and, kind of a little bit more versatile than Oso Igodaro is on the offensive end? Not kind of, but is. So Oso, he's not going to be a star. He could fit really well on a team that's trying to win a championship and be like their 9th guy off the bench. But I think that's his ceiling. It really comes down to one of Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, or Kaman Malawach has to be a star. It's going to be very tough to get a running mate alongside Devin Booker, as we just mentioned a second ago. The best and most feasible and obvious path for the Phoenix Suns to become title contenders once again is one of those 3 players, Fleming, Dunn, or Kaman Malawach, is a downright star / superstar. Star/superstar. Can I pair him next to Devin Booker for the next half decade and say, go? Now we just got to put a team around them. if that doesn't happen, like you just have a lot of high floor players. And the Suns aren't going to win a championship with a bunch of high floor players and Devin Booker, save me, save me. And like, again, I would love for the Suns to get a star player traded to them while keeping most of their core. It's just probably not going to happen. So how are the Suns going to be contenders? One of those guys has to pop. Because it's year 5. I don't know if Jalen Green is ever going to become a star/superstar. I'm not ruling it out. It could happen. But that feels a little far-fetched. Dylan Brooks, I know what he is. Mark Williams, he's probably not going to be a superstar. Someone has to be someone needs to be paired alongside Devin Booker for this team to ever have title Western Conference Finals aspirations ever again. And so, one of those guys has to pop. Those are the only players on this team. I'm like, show me. Maybe you do have something. And so if I'm putting this at a cause for concern, it's like a 7. I love Kaman Malawach, and I think he's going to be awesome in this league. But it is so hard to separate yourself as a star/superstar in this league, especially for someone like Kaman Malawach. How much does he play a game? I don't know. He's got an odd archetype in terms of a body. Rasheer Fleming, there's a reason why he was a second-round pick. The second-round picks have become stars before, but the majority of them have not. Nikola Jokic won 2 MVPs. He was drafted during a Case Cerrito, Taco Bell commercial. They didn't even show him. So, it could happen, but it's so few and far and in between. Now, I'm not ruling out Rasheer Fleming being a high-level player in this league. Just being a superstar is tough. Ryan Dunn, I love the athlete Ryan Dunn, the defense Ryan Dunn, the getting to the rim. He's got a ton of different tools. If he doesn't put together some semblance of a jump shot, he's cooked offensively, and I don't know if he's going to be able to play in the NBA outside of that rotational player that plays well defensively. You got to be able to do something offensively. That's my problem with Oso, is he's got a push shot and nothing else. So, I think Ryan Dunn is going to be a high-level role player for years to come. I think potentially even a star. But, which one is more likely? Rasheer Fleming, the same way, the same thing. And then, of course, Kaman Malawach. Might take a couple years. Someone has to pop either this year or definitely next year, but that's why this is the lowest on the board. Because, this is more likely to derail, yes, the season, but more so, later down the line. So that's where my 3 causes of concern are. Jordan Knott's got to be able to coach. If he doesn't, are the Suns going to fire another head coach? Jalen Green has got to turn a new leaf in Phoenix and become more efficient and be the, and adapt himself to Devin Booker. And one of Dunn, Oso, Rasheer, or Kaman Malawach has got to pop for this team to show me more than just we're going to be a feisty playoff team. The Suns have bigger aspirations for that. With that being said, guys, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show. Appreciate you guys being here. For everyone in the comment section, tuning into the show, for myself, Benjamin Garcia, I will talk to you guys tomorrow with my guy, Matt George of Locked On Kings, giving you a full breakdown of the opening night matchup against the Sacramento Kings. And we'll do it all tomorrow. But until then, I'm Benjamin Garcia, and it's been Locked On Phoenix Suns. Talk to you guys tomorrow.